Attention gamers. Riot Games has just released the very first sneak peek into all the things they are giving us to complain about in Season 11, and so I figured rather than reading through this post yourselves, we can share this diagnosis of impending cancer to the Rift together, and who better to get an intelligent viewpoint on these items than from someone who has been gold hard stuck for 10 years. Anyways, for starters, Riot gives like 16 different disclosures right off the bat, basically admitting that introducing 22 insanely overtuned mythic items is going to turn the Rift into a certified shitfest. So basically this is the, please don't uninstall our game when you see a 65-0 Katarina running around with 1700 movement speed and 2 seconds of stealth every time she gets a takedown, because they will be tuning these items regularly until they ultimately realize this whole thing was a bad idea and scratch it. Also win a PC worth $2,500 by doing free and quick things, link in the description, cause winners will be announced next week. Now I believe there are 3 or 4 mythic items for each role or class, so let's get right into it with Marks people. And Riot, if you are watching, you need to get your PR team on that little typo, you sexist pigs. Gale Force, which sounds like something that was queefed straight out of Janna's bedroom, says it's about mobility, and it comes with a kindred Q for its active, allowing you to do a little bunny hop before excreting 3 missiles out of your a-hole at the lowest health targets near you, with some execution Dark Harvest-esque math behind it. And I know what you are thinking, this sounds like more dog shit broken busted than my lactose intolerant anus after refusing to resist Chipotle's new queso, but I assure you this gets so much worse. Kraken Slayer is our second item, and I guess Kraken is Riot's endearing terms for tanks, where I have just been using 200 years as their nickname for weeks, but basically this active is like a Caitlyn passive, but instead of every 7 stacks it's every 3, and instead of physical damage it's true. So basically all the PTA veins out there have already creamed their pants, baked said cream into a freaking creme brulee house, that creme brulee, and are now shitting themselves on a toilet, refreshing the page praying that this entire passive wasn't a typo. Moving on to numero 3, we have a bow that is also a shield that also makes you immortal, and this is like the Grasp ADC Booger build's best friend. It looks like Phantom Dancer went to couples therapy with a bloodthirster, and the therapist told them both to stop being weak little pussies, and now here we are. You get a massive shield at low health plus a metric S ton of lifesteal for 8 seconds. Pair this with Conqueror and I am having flashbacks to early Aatrox days when every auto attack healed him for 40% HP. I respect it. Moving on to the Kraken Mythics, and unlike the Marksman ones, these all have 2 passive/actives instead of 1, which just further proves my theory that the head of the tank development team gives the better breakroom blowies at Riot. But anyways, the passive on this is just a stacking Sunfire cape that buffs against minions and monsters, so basically jungle meet tank meet free LP. And when you achieve full stacks from just sitting in the middle of a battle doing nothing else, you get an Infernal Soul buff to all of your basic attacks. This aligns very well with the proverb that reads, "Thou who tanks shall also spank," while simultaneously making me want to jump out of a window. The second tank mythic uses the word Frostfire, which is a WoW word, so shame on Riot for stealing it, but it too has the Sunfire passive, because why the hell not. But this one also grants any champion Ashe's passive, so now we can officially toss her to the side and deem her a useless ashhole. I am not sure how this one will play out, because I feel most tanks have trouble getting to you in the first place, but once they do, they have no problem sticking to you like a heaping pile of dogshit on your shoes. But then again, the only kite I have got stuck in a tree 12 years ago, so I will leave it up to your judgment. The last Kraken Mythic is Berserker Suit, which for some reason I can't stop thinking it's a play on Birthday Suit, even though I know there is absolutely no relation between the two other than the fact that when you are playing against someone who has this item, you should prepare to be stripped naked and screwed repetitively. I have actually uninstalled the game 3 different times after starting to read this description before I was able to finish it, thinking about a set who has just been given an active that turns him into an Olympic sprinter before ejaculating an absurd 75% 2 seconds slow. Yeah, your ass will be grass, and tanks building this are the lawnmower. Okay, AD Assassin's time, and I hope you all have your panic buttons out and ready to be jerked off to completion. Duskblade of I am going to shit in your mouth is the first. This abomination of an item makes attacks against an enemy champion do, and I ate an entire pizza myself an hour ago, buttloads worth of damage, plus essentially rooting the target long enough for any assassin to tattoo the words "you're a dead bitch" on your defenseless little ass cheek. But here is the puke inducer: if you get a takedown, it resets the cooldown on everything above and turns you invisible. The only thing this passive is missing is a fucking Model S Tesla being delivered to your front yard when you attack an enemy champion. Let's move on before I bust an anxiety nut all over my computer. Eclipse is number 2, and if you don't know what an eclipse is, it's when one thing covers up another thing or some shit because they are stacked up, and in this case it's stack one OP up with another OP to create the giantest OPness known to man. Attacking a target twice, as in 2 times, does 16% of a target's maximum health, aka Jesus hold my beer, all while injecting some cocaine up your anus and granting you a big bitch buffer against damage. So basically the passive is inspired by Kanye West himself because attacking an enemy twice makes you harder, better, faster and stronger. The last item for AD assassins is Prowler's Claw, which sounds like something a sex offender has framed in his basement, and this gives any enemy a dash that does a falls harvest of freaking pumpkins worth of damage while also reducing armor by a third. Basically hide yo kids, hide yo wife, hide yo carries, hide yo tanks, because assassins will be screwing everybody out here. Okay, moving on to AP Meiji Mage time. Liandry's Torment gets a pair of fake new titties, and they rebranded said titties to Anguish, as this provides the classic burn that we all know and hate with a big buff, in addition to also reducing magic resist on each tick to throw some salt on the toxic wounds and to give Teemo main something to lactate over. Just to give an idea of some mathematical cancer, one Teemo mushroom at max rank with say 250 AP will do around 900 damage to an AD carry who has like 1500 health. Dope, can't wait. Luden's Tempest is the second, and this is essentially the same exact thing as Luden's Echo, but it gives you a quick shot of espresso in your morning coffee, and I honestly can't hate too much on this one, as I think it's balanced if not undertuned compared to the breeding grounds of broken bullshit we have seen on others. I also think something like this will be extremely fun to play on champs like AP Ezreal. And lastly we have Everfrost, which in my mind is going to look exactly like Cone of Cold from World of Warcraft, and I have to say the scaling on this one should be enough to make the pocket-sized wieners of all Vhagar mains stand straight up in attentiveness, as 30% AP on a late game is at least something like 62,000 damage if my math is correct, but this also packs a naughty amount of glue gunning power with a root in the center. Basically the old GLP can suck a flaccid ding dong, because this is going to be the designated catch you like a disease tool for mages and supports all around. Okay, AP non-mana mythics, and I don't know if I am just in utter shock after reading those assassin item descriptions or what, because I can't think of anyone that fits in this category other than Kennen or Vlad, so pardon my stupidity here. The first item is just Hextech Protobelt, but some SJW must have thrown a fit because Proto has the word pro and it's insensitive to non-pros to classify an item like that, so in order to not get cancelled and demonetized on YouTube, Riot renamed it to Rocket Belt, and since they said it has to learn a new name and all the hardships that come with it, they will grant users of it little bursts of excitement every time they use it. Cool, but then again not really that cool. Next is Aksamuke's Folly, and I don't know who Aksamuke was, but clearly he was a savage badass who liked being in the middle of everyone's drama, because this shit basically makes you slightly more erect for every second you are around other players until you reach corruption, which is just the politically correct name for what Riot wanted to call climax, causing you to bust true damage nuts on everyone who is still around. I am thinking Gallios and Rumbles have sweaty undies reading this. Then we have Night Harvester, which should have been called Dead Bitch Harvester because it makes damaging an enemy deliver a Polly Poppet's worth of damage while giving you a Mario Mushroom. Basically this one to me looks like Phase Rush, and Sheen had a baby, and that baby is going to grow up to be responsible for more dead bodies than World War II. Vlad mains, if you are here, please don't be here anymore, because you are going to ruin the League of Legends experience for everyone else with this. Moving on to AD fighters, and guess what, these suckers get 4 mythics, so maybe Breakroom Blowy Bobby, who leads tank development, also contracts himself out to AD bruisers as well. And would you look at that, our good old buddy Trinity Force has survived the Season 11 layoffs over at Riot, and it was given a nice end of year bonus for its efforts. Now this item has this swift strikes nonsense that makes your legs move a bit faster while granting you stacking base AD. On second thought, I wish this item would have gotten canned, because now we all get to deal with Garens and Dari Eyes building Triforce into straight tank and doing more damage than a 6 item AD carry because of this bullshit, while remaining unkillable by everything on the Rift, except for invisible assassins. The second item is called Gore Drinker, where Gore is actually a code word for Tryndamere's rage jizz, and Drinker is to symbolize what everyone else will be forced to do every game he doesn't get banned. The active on this is just a massive butt blast that heals you by essentially your entire health pool if you use it in the middle of a team fight, but the passive is what makes me slightly concerned for the well-being of all non-Tryndamere players. 1% increased damage for every 5% missing health in a game where you have a champion that literally has a fetish for edging with death just seems like a bit of an oversight. This also seems to synergize well with Olaf's anger management problems as well, so I bet those two kids are going to be the keynote speech in upcoming balance conventions at Riot Reddit headquarters, where everyone is both an expert and a whining bitch. Stridebreaker is the next item, and the passive on this one makes you a nimble psychopath, giving you slight bursts of excitement from the sight of watching things around you being killed, which should give some top lane bruisers unnecessary catch potential. And then we have an active which sounds like Camille aka Mommy Long Legs' wall thrust jump engage, so I think this just adds to the expanding recipe book of ways to engage onto a poor ADC and make them hate their life. And finally, the last bruiser Mythic is Divine Devourer, which claims to be anti-tank, but it seems to be a pro-tank item, as it gives you a sheen effect that does bonus damage based off of your max health, which then also heals you for most of that damage dealt. And yeah, I can hear 6 Warmog's Armor's Mundos slobbering in their baby cribs as well. Okay, last category is Enchanters, which if you didn't know are the nutsack cuffers on the Rift, and the first item is a battle song, which already sounds like it's made for that mute bitch Sona, but let's see. This basically shoves some bullet ants into your teammates' shoes, making them frantic and raging out and giving them a big titties load of damage to all of their next 3 attacks. This sounds like teamfight engages with a wombo combo are going to be spelled with a capital W with this item. Then we have Locket of the Iron Shit Tits, and this just looks like a karma ult into E shielding the boys. Then there is a passive which I guess puts you in a short skirt so you can flaunt your long legs because it makes the people around you just a bit harder. Our third and final mythic item is Moonstone Renewer or Raid Healer, where basically your participation in team fights grants you little rejuvenating piss streams that prioritize the most damaged Pokemon in your lineup, healing them back to good health. The longer the team fight lasts, the stronger these piss streams get. This sounds dope, and in my opinion will make grievous wounds even more of a necessity in battle. So that is all the new mythic items that make it seem like everything is going to be OP. There are also a collection of legendary items, but I will let you read through them yourself or watch another clickbaited video to get your information on those. My earliest opinion is that I think these items are going to add a lot of color to the game, but as an ADC main I am worried. The marksman mythics sound incredibly strong, but I think the mythic items in general aren't super expensive, and their effects could make bursts bigger, fights more volatile, and games shorter in a meta where ADCs typically benefit in longer games. Time will tell, and I will be punishing myself in the PvE to see where this inevitable uncoordinated shitfest takes us. Pet your dog, jerk your ween. Let me know your thoughts on these changes in the comments, and brush your teeth tonight. Rav out.